Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in to the 143. This is Under Review coming at you live with episode 190. Nick, how are we doing tonight?
You got some big news. Obviously, the Micah Parsons trade, probably the biggest thing happening in the NFL right now.
Absolutely.
As the season kicks off in a couple days this Thursday night.
Yeah, looking forward to the start of the season. The Cowboys will be facing the Eagles without star edge rusher Micah Parsons. Biggest news that broke this week. Micah hurt Jerry's feelings, essentially, and Jerry said, get out of here, and traded him. We obviously have a bunch of thoughts on that, which we'll get to momentarily. Start us off with the stat of the week, brought to you by our sponsor, Andrews Logistics. Big upset happened over the weekend, college football. Florida State beating Alabama. Alabama won 23 straight just season openers. And that streak is officially ended with their loss to Florida State. Nobody really saw it coming. They were 14-point favorites. And it's safe to say that DeBoer's job is on the hot seat.
Under fire, absolutely. Yep, you saw Florida State rush the field, which is that was very ridiculous. Interesting. In my personal opinion, this is another topic, but rushing the field has lost all of its meaning over the last couple of years.
You don't rush the field on a home opener that you won by 14.
Yeah, on a team that's ranked 8th that realistically is going to be
not ranked,
barely top 20 by the end of the season. But nonetheless, player of the week, Micah Parsons, two-time All-Pro, 2021 Defensive Rookie of the Year, recorded double-digit sacks in all 4 of his seasons, was a pretty crucial part of the Dallas defense, but mind you, did not show up for a single playoff game that he played in all 4 of his seasons. So that's something that you have to take into account. But big part of the defense is not going to be there this season.
Let's get into it. So Micah Parsons was on Thursday shockingly traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round draft picks and Kenny Clark, D tackle. So Micah got record-breaking $47 million a year for 4 years. The highest paid non-QB in NFL history. Obviously, Cowboys fans were sad to see him go, some of them. And some of the more realistic ones, like us here at Under Review, have mixed feelings about it. Nick, how are we feeling?
Had a lot of mixed feelings about it. We were pretty high on Micah when he first got drafted in his first few seasons, but I feel like the opinion has slowly gone down a little bit. He was asking for way too much money that I did not want to pay him because that puts a lot of restrictions on what we can do the rest of this offseason and then just in upcoming years with having that big of a payroll on the salary. And then the biggest thing, I think, was it last year, the first year that he had that podcast?
Yeah, I think I don't remember if it was 1 or 2
anyway,
years ago.
It doesn't really matter. When he had that podcast, it was just so annoying because he seemed to be praising Eagles players all the time. Eagles. And it's like, that's supposed to be your most hated rival. I'm not saying you got to come out
You're not
publicly
supposed to say anything nice about
them and, bash them every time you open your mouth, but you certainly shouldn't be giving them praise.
It was giving the Eagles praise and then obviously bashing the Cowboys, which was his team. So it was not only the fact that he's praising. Obviously, Saquon Barkley had a great season last year. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. But he was constantly bashing how the Cowboys did things, which was his team at the time. A lot of people said the podcast was taking his focus away from the game. And his productivity on the field last season was nowhere to be found, in my opinion. Early in the season when we really needed him, he was not there. He did stat pad a little bit later in the season, but that was when our season was already effectively over. The biggest example was against Green Bay in the playoffs, the game that we really needed our defense to show up. Aaron Jones ran for 3 touchdowns, over 100 rushing yards, and then Jordan Love kind of did whatever he wanted back there. Micah was nowhere to be found. In big playoff games, you need your star players, especially on defense, to step up, and Micah did not step up. I don't think he steps up against Philly. I just don't think he steps up in big games, period. I think we both agree.
As an edge rusher, one thing Dallas has struggled with the last couple of years is the run game. We've been getting absolutely thrashed on the ground. And so we're looking at, the front 4, but that includes you. And
Yes.
so we
Especially him.
tried to bulk up on the defensive line a little bit. We brought Mozzie Smith in a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, he's
that
been a
didn't
bust.
work out. Micah Parsons, unfortunately, just, trying to carry the load all by himself, but he can't do it. I mean, he gets double teamed every single time, which was tough because you would think that would open up the opportunity for other guys to get back there, but that just isn't what happened. And then, he looks for a holding call every single
play.
time. And then I feel like there would be these random third downs where he's on the sideline getting
Right,
oxygen or something like
yeah.
that. And it's like, if you're supposed to be the best player on defense, then you're supposed to be out there the whole time. Like, you need to be a leader.
Green Bay ridiculously overpaid for Micah Parsons. Obviously, time will tell who wins this trade, but so far, he wanted to get paid more than TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. Those guys have won Defensive Player of the Year. Those guys are game wreckers, even though they are being held every single play. Micah is not a game wrecker, in my opinion, as of late. His rookie year, he was great. Second year, he was great. The last couple years, I think we've seen a decline from Micah in productivity. Does it have anything to do with the podcast and some off-the-field stuff where he has not been as focused on the team? Absolutely. He kind of acted like he was just entitled to this money, which I didn't feel that he was. I liked Micah coming in, like Nick said, but you cannot be paying three players $150 million and expect to win anything. Realistically, I think our chances this year are third in the division, maybe second at best. I don't think those change without Micah Parsons.
I was going to say, with or without him, we had no playoff hopes.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting to do anything this season when we had Micah. Him leaving, I don't think changes that much. Still not expecting anything. But the other thing too, thinking about Micah and his personality, is he's going up there to Green Bay and he's wearing number 1. And that has not been worn since, I think it was 1927 by Curly Lambeau. So that just shows you what he thinks of himself. And I mean, you're putting pretty high expectations on yourself. Do it by coming out and taking that number and then getting the contract that you did. Basically, you should win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and he's the odds-on favorite, but I don't think he's going to win it. I think, and the biggest thing about Micah leaving was him and Jerry apparently sat down for 4 hours together and had a reported handshake agreement to $40.5 million a year for 5 years. Then Micah's agent stepped in and was like, no, you could get more than that. And so Micah, ended the deal. Kind of hurt Jerry's feelings because he thought they had, spent that time, talked about it. Obviously, Jerry didn't, an agent is there for a reason, so Jerry should have gotten the agent involved. But also, Micah hurt Jerry's ego. Once you do that, we've seen in the past, you're gone. Nothing kind of trumps Jerry Jones and how he's feeling because he is the owner and GM. But I'm actually proud of Jerry Jones for not getting taken to the cleaners on this one by a player. Like we've seen the last 2 seasons with Dak and CeeDee.
I was just saying, normally in those situations, he just caves in at the last second and just pays them whatever they want, and it ends up being way too much. So, at least Jerry stood his ground a little bit on that one.
Glad to see that he can still do that because we have critiqued him, especially on the Dak Prescott deal, for waiting until all the quarterbacks have been paid and then paying him $60 million a year. The Cowboys just now signed Ron Bland. We have money now to be signing more guys. When you're paying one guy on defense, it's like the rest of them are not going to be as good. So now we have more money to pay the players. I think Kenny Clark was a good addition to the Cowboys. He's a good run stopper, but
and we got that kid from Boston College who's supposed to be good.
Yeah, hopefully he can step in.
I think even what Joseph was talking about a couple of days ago off the air was that Micah's personality was kind of hurting locker room presence, just the way he was acting, the things he was saying.
On the podcast was actually the biggest thing
I believe
that was irking people.
Dak Prescott and Zach Martin came out and said something about it, and that's just not good for trying to build a winning culture. Obviously, we've got our thoughts about Dak Prescott, but that's kind of completely different because you all need to be pulling together for the same goal. But if you've got one player who's just bringing everybody else down, we're not going to you can't build a winning program off that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say something bold here, but Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons are best friends. They're both very vocal about how awful the Cowboys are a lot of times. Say to get Trayvon out of here too. I'm tired of these locker room cancers that we've got on the team sometimes, and normally Jerry does whatever he wants, like lets them do whatever they want. I'm glad he got rid of Micah because guys that are tearing the locker room apart against the team that they're on is kind of unacceptable. You at least need to be united to go out there and win, which we're not expecting to do a lot of this season, but we need the guys to be all on the same page. So I think, Jerry made the right decision just because Micah has not earned the right to say those things or make that kind of money. In my opinion, he's now the highest paid non-QB. Well, we're talking about guys like Jamar Chase that he's paid more than, TJ Watt, guys that have actually mattered and won accolades for mattering. He's only won Defensive Rookie of the Year, which is great, but his rookie year was a long time ago.
That was 2021.
Yeah, so.
And like Jamar Chase won a Triple Crown and is one of he's a top 3 receiver right now.
Mm-hmm.
People are making arguments for him being number 1. TJ Watt's been, I would say, the best defensive player of the last 5-6 years at least. And, Micah's wanting that kind of money, and it's just
I don't see it. Mainly because in the big games, he's nowhere to be found, and that's when you need your star edge rusher to go in. A lot of people are high on Green Bay right now. A lot of people think they're going to win the Super Bowl with Micah Parsons. We didn't win the Super Bowl with Micah Parsons. In fact, we got rolled by the Packers when we had Micah Parsons and a more talented team than the Packers did. So I don't think Micah Parsons brings you to the Super Bowl. Unless he decides to just change his tune. Maybe if he gets rid of the podcast, starts really focusing on football. But I would be shocked to see the Packers do anything as far as go to the NFC Championship.
Did their defense get better?
Sure.
Yes.
They had a really bad defense, though.
I don't really think it's going to be, groundbreaking 180 to where all of a sudden they're going to have a top 5 defense.
They still have no secondary as well.
They had nobody last year.
And they still have nobody.
And, now they have Micah, which is one guy, so I don't really see them making some noise.
Mainly because he didn't do it for us. Like, we had Micah it's not like we didn't try Micah out, and if a guy doesn't work out for you and he's causing a lot of problems, a lot of times you get rid of him. And this one was just in the spotlight because there was so much drama around it, and it was Jerry and the Cowboys, and obviously we're always going to be in the spotlight, but this is one decision where we can say that we actually agree with Jerry Jones. So mainly because he's not worth $47 million a year. What we really should have done was pay him a lot earlier when he was like $30-something million a year.
Yeah.
But since we missed out on that, at least we got 2 first-rounders, even though they're going to be low first-rounders, and Kenny Clark hopefully will help us immediately.
If we had prioritized his contract towards the beginning of the offseason, I would have been okay with keeping him. But with how expensive he made himself because we waited so long and he saw everybody else getting paid, it just didn't seem like long-term, it wasn't worth it.
And like we said, the season outcome will not be any different.
I was going to say, with Micah Parsons, we were going to go probably – 10-7 is generous.
That's
very generous.
Very high number.
We might go, 9-8 now or something. Yeah, whatever. But, it's not like he changed that much. We still need, still struggled with the run game with him. We're still going to struggle with the run game without him. So I'm not super duper worried about it.
Saquon Barkley, go have yourself a day.
Yeah.
Thursday night.
Hopefully we can use these picks or something to build on something in the future. Got some young guys defensively.
Hungry.
So maybe these dudes we can build around, but you never know.
Never know.
Here's Indoor Shows and Under Review brought you a quote from Vince Lombardi, and he said, winning is not a sometime thing, it is an all-time thing. You don't do things right once in a while, you do them right all the time.
Ain't that the truth? And in our opinions, Micah did not do it right all the time. So wish him luck up there in Green Bay, but not too much. And thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you next week with another episode of Under Review.